It is June of 2025, halfway through the year, and I have read 23 books. Here are all of them. Now, I know for some people, some channels, 25 books is, it's not a lot, but for me, that's good. This is the most I've read in a half year ever, so I'm pretty happy about that. I enjoyed reading, I had fun reading, and that's what counts most. Okay, so I don't own all of the books here, so there just might be a screenshot off to the side. My apologies, I don't buy all the books I read. I get some from the library, I listen to some on Spotify, but it's good. I talk way too much, and this video is going to run way too long, so I'm limiting myself to 1 minute to talk about each one of these books. I ripped this off from Ian Goobley because it was a really good idea. Thank you, Ian Goobley. Also, I'm sorry for copying you. So, let us begin with January. I started off the year strong, really strong, with one of the best books I've ever read in my life. This has become one of my favorite books ever, and that is Lonesome Dove by Larry McMurtry. If you've been on BookTube, you've probably heard of this. It is about a cattle ranch from Texas to Montana. This is a freaking epic. It's about 950 pages. It is a beast. The characters are some of the most well-written people I have ever read. They feel like real people. You cannot convince me that Gus is not real. This book was heartbreaking. This book was long, but it was beautiful, every second of it. Late 1800s West at its finest. I love Westerns so much, and this book really did it for me. Genuinely, probably one of my favorite books ever. Absolutely would recommend if it sounds at all interesting to you. It is so freaking good. Historical fiction, and it's amazing. It is freaking amazing. You literally cannot go wrong with this. Larry McMurtry is a great author, and this was a banger to start the year off with. Next up, we read this one for school, but it was a really good book, and that is The Kite Runner. Now, I read 1,000 Splendid Suns last year, and that book was great. I really loved it, by Khaled Hosseini. The Kite Runner is about, it's a coming-of-age, buildings-running story of this kid, Amir. And basically, Amir is like a piece of shit. Amir is a coward, and it is about his friendship between Amir and his friend Hassan. And it takes place in Afghanistan, and you get to see the impact war had in Afghanistan. You can see how Afghanistan changes. We also get this beautiful story of family, of love, of courage, of guilt. This is some of the best guilt I've ever seen personified in a book. You get to see Amir from a child to an adult, and you get to follow his entire life and his relationship with his best friend. And it's really sad, but really great, especially the beginning. I loved this book. The beginning was great. The whole thing was great, though. I would really recommend it if it sounds at all interesting. Dang, dude. Alright. I'm so good at this. I'm so good at this. The next one we got, my girlfriend bought this for me for Christmas, and I have a little bit of lore on this one. She read this book. A lot of people said it was great. It's a classic, supposedly. And she was like, that book was not good. She bought this book for me because she was like, this sucks, but I want to see if you get anything out of it, because she knows that I'm trying to read classics. And so, that is On the Road by Jack Kerouac. I don't know how to say that, I'm sorry. Anyways, this book is about our boy Sal Paradise, and he basically travels across America in the 40s. Now, this was before basically the hippie movement. This was written in the 1940s. And so this was a huge book. It started the Beat Generation, if you've heard of that before. And basically, it is just this guy with his buddy Dean and some other characters going back and forth across America, getting it up to shenanigans. I'm going to be real, didn't really like this one. I thought the first half of the book was really fun, really good, but then it just felt like it was repeating itself over and over, and it was kind of the same things happening, and it started to feel stale, and I just really was losing interest by the end. I was pretty bored by the end, but, you know, it might be for you. That's On the Road. Ooh. Heart of Darkness by Joseph Conrad. I'm going to be completely honest, this book sucked. I really did not like this book. I know it's a classic. I'll explain to you what it's about. It is about, oh, dude, I honestly forgot. I'm gonna be real. It's about I think it's in, oh my gosh, the Congo. Yes, I think it's in the Congo. And it's about how weird and, like, fucked up it gets during wartime. And I'm gonna be honest, like, if you're interested in this book, please look it up. My brother really liked this book. I thought it was ass. I did not like this book. Was like, I literally could throw it in the garbage. It made me feel nothing. I'm gonna be real. It was trying to show, like, this really dark, disturbing stuff, and to me, it just didn't do it well. It was trying to take itself too seriously. It felt like it was being like, oh, look how dark this is. But that was all it was doing. All it felt like it was saying was, wow, look how dark I am. And I honestly really didn't like it. At first I was neutral to it, and then the more I thought about it, I was like, this made me feel zero. It was a waste of time for me. It's really short, but I did not like this book at all. I might be wrong. There's a lot of people who like this book, so that's just me. That's my hot take. I don't like that book at all. I freaking hate The Heart of Darkness. Okay, the next one is This Isn't Gonna End Well by David Foster Wallace. I don't have this one physically. I listened to it on Spotify, audiobooks. This book was great, dude. It was so good. It was a memoir by David Foster Wallace about his brother-in-law, William. And it was about William's life and eventually what led up to William killing himself. And it is so heartfelt. It is heartbreaking. It's really sad. It is very sad. It's so well written. Really beautiful. It made me feel a lot. William's mindset in life by the end is really sad. It is really, really sad to read. It's pretty dark. It dives in really deep to suicide and mental health in a way I honestly hadn't seen before, and it was really eye-opening. I thought it was phenomenal. Definitely go check it out. It was a phenomenal memoir. I thought it was great. So after reading Lonesome Dove, I couldn't help myself. I had to read more Larry McMurtry. And that is Terms of Endearment by Larry McMurtry. I got this nice old copy. Oh, I love these. I love these so much. This book was good. I was sick when I read this, and it made me cry. Like, it was ugly. It made me, the end was the saddest, probably one of the saddest things I've ever read. Oh my God, it was, wow. This book is about a relationship between a mother and a daughter, but I'm going to be real, most of the book is about the mother. It is about Emma and her mother, oh my gosh, I forgot her name, Aurora. And this is about Aurora is like a middle-aged lady, and she's trying to find her place in the world. Her husband had died, and she's trying to figure out what to do. And she has a bunch of suitors she's choosing from. And it's just about her relationships with them. It's kind of about love, different ways people love each other, how love can go wrong. That's what I thought. And then the second part of this book is about the daughter, Emma. And it's tragic. It is completely tragic. I don't want to spoil anything, but it is really heartbreaking, but beautifully written. This book was phenomenal. Really, really funny. About a lot of the time. Super memorable characters. And yeah, that was this one was good. This one was really good. The structure isn't exactly amazing, but still, great. Alright, this next one we read for school, and I'm going to be real, I had never heard of this when we read it. But this is Ishmael by Daniel Quinn. It is fiction. It is about a guy being tutored by a talking gorilla. It's kind of an environmental book. We read it for my environmental sciences class. It's interesting. It's really, really strange. I'm probably going to go over the time with this one because it's not like a normal book. It's basically a philosophy or an idea about the world, but put into a fiction novel. So there's not a plot. It is just this guy and this talking gorilla. And the talking gorilla tells this guy about the earth and about the different ways we live and about culture. And the main thing about it is about culture. And whether or not you agree with what's in the book, because I've heard very conflicting opinions. A lot of people are very turned off by what's in it. But I thought it was fascinating. Just even if you don't agree with it at all, I think it's definitely an interesting take on the world as a whole. I'm not explaining it well at all, but it basically, what I perceived was Daniel Quinn's viewpoint, a different way to look at the world, a different perspective, but written through the lens of fiction to make it more digestible. The whole book is basically Ishmael's philosophy, and he's just explaining it to the pupil. A lot of it is about the earth and humans' effects on the earth and how we negatively impact it, how our culture could be negatively dooming for the rest of humanity. Again, I think whether or not you agree with it, it is super fascinating stuff. It's polarizing, but if it sounds interesting, definitely go check it out. We'll create some really strong arguments. Again, I'm not talking about whether or not these are necessarily true. I just think it's really fascinating. So yeah, that's Ishmael. If you watched this channel before, you know I kind of like Cormac McCarthy. I had an entire video on this book, so I don't want to spend too long on this one. But this one is The Crossing by Cormac McCarthy. I thought this book was great. I'm not going to lie. I thought it was way too long at points. It was kind of a slog at a lot of points. Dragged on a lot. I still think the story was really nice. Cormac McCarthy has a way of making me feel things I don't normally feel, and this book was no exception. It was a good sequel to All the Pretty Horses. This is book 2 in the Border Trilogy. It is about a boy named Billy. He goes from America to Mexico to return a wolf that has been killing animals on his farm. The story goes a lot further than that. That's only like a fourth of the book, which threw me off a lot. But it is a really interesting tale. It takes place in the 1930s. And it's a really cool Western. I have a whole video on this one, so if you're more interested, Go watch that. I thought it was good. I think it has some big flaws. It was really hard to read it sometimes, but still overall pretty beautiful. Next up here we have more Larry McMurtry. This is Horsemen Pass By, his first novel. I'm gonna be honest, this book was not my cup of tea. It was very much John Steinbeck-esque, but without all the stuff I really like of John Steinbeck. It was interesting. We'll give you that. It was interesting. It was about the 1960s, post-World War II. It's about this kid, Lonnie, growing up on a farm. Kind of a tough life with his grandpa. Kind of deglorifying the West. Pretty interesting, especially for this being Larry McMurtry's first novel. It did not feel like his other books, I'm going to be honest. It felt pretty different. I'm not going to lie, I didn't really like it that much. It was pretty short. This book was about 170 pages. Not that enthralling. I have a video where I talk about this more, my Reading for 24 Hours video. Don't have much to say, and this one wasn't really my thing. Okay, next one, I listened to this one on Spotify again. I listened to the entire thing on an audiobook, and that is, oh my gosh, I forgot the author. This is Blake Crouch's Dark Matter. This book was really good. I listened to it on a whim because I'd heard Ian Gooley talk about it, and I was like, okay, I'm never going to read this book. Let me listen to it on my car ride to school. And so I did, and it took me a little bit to finish it by doing that, but it ended up being really good. It's about, I don't want to give too much away, it's a sci-fi book about this man. I literally forgot his name. What was his name? Jason. Jason is kidnapped by a man who asks him, are you happy? And then he wakes up in a completely different world. I would read the blurb if you're more interested. I really don't want to give away the concept of this because I didn't even know what the concept was going in. I went into this book blind, and it blew me away. First half, I was really iffy, and then a point hit where I was like, oh my gosh, this is a sci-fi thriller. It literally changed the way I think about reality in my life, which sounds nuts. This book was really, really good. Blake Crouch is a great author. Super entertaining, but also thoughtful, has really interesting themes built into it. And yeah, to me it had a lot to say. I really liked it. Alright, next up we got my GOAT, Stephen King. This is Billy Summers. Oh my gosh, this book was really, really good. This is about an assassin, Billy Summers, who kills Batman. And basically, it is about his final job, his final hit job. But it goes wrong. And it's about it going wrong and what he does after that, what he does as a result. It's kind of a revenge story in some parts. It's also kind of a love story in a more platonic sense. Really great stuff here. Great characters that I think about a lot. The ending was great. My man, it really hit me out of nowhere, and I thought it was really good. Billy Summers is a great book. This book was so entertaining. I literally could not stop reading it. Great dynamics between Billy and Alice, if you know what I'm talking about. Really, really interesting things to think on. Stephen King being the GOAT, as per usual. So I've been getting into John Steinbeck recently, and I picked this little bad boy up, The Moon is Down. This is a 100-page little novella about a European town getting occupied by the Nazis at the very start of World War II. This book was great, dude. I haven't heard people talk about this at all. It was so good. Such a great commentary on war. The dialogue, the interactions between characters is like, so good. This book gets me excited when I think about how good it is. Really hopeful somehow. Great depiction of human hope, how hard it is to extinguish human hope, how oppression is inherently unnatural and can't be kept up forever. This book is great. I would strongly recommend you read this if you're interested in John Steinbeck. Really good stuff. I thought this book was fantastic. This next book is a Japanese book, the first Japanese book I've ever read. We read it for school. It is called The Sound of Waves by Yukio Mishima. I think I'm saying that right. Probably not. I'm not gonna lie, I thought this book was a bit of a nothing burger. I don't know, to me it was pretty underwhelming. It was a cute love story about, I don't remember the main characters' names, I'm so sorry. But they live on this island that I forgot the name of. It's a small town, and it's about a love story between, I think it's Shinji and Yasui, or Yasuo? I forgot. I don't know how to say the names. I'm really sorry. I forgot. But it's a cute little love story about the two and how town gossip gets in the way of their pretty wholesome romance. Again, this book was wholesome, kind of comfy, but there wasn't much content for me that I really was that enthralled with. I thought it was kind of bland. Shinji didn't really have that many qualities to them, nor did Yasuo. Or Hatsue. I think it's Hatsue. I'm combining names. I'm really sorry. Hatsui. I'm not saying these names right. I'm sorry. But again, it kind of felt like a nothing burger to me. It just wasn't really my thing. Yeah, that's all I really gotta say about it. More Larry McMurtry, because I can't stop. This is All My Friends Are Gonna Be Strangers. This is the second book in the Houston series, the book that comes before Terms of Endearment. That's a series if you didn't know, but it's not really. The only thing that makes it a series is that characters reoccur in the books. This is about Danny Deck, a writer who has just got his first novel published, going out and exploring the American West on a car ride, and his shenanigans and his romances and his little adventures that he goes on. Thought this book was pretty solid. Not exactly my favorite. Didn't find it as fun as I thought I would, but I thought it was good, but I didn't think it lived up to Larry McMurtry, the higher standards that he has. Still pretty solid, really funny at points, pretty sad at points too. Like, again, a solid read, but not my favorite thing in the world, if that makes any sense. This next one is 40 Lashes Less One by Elmore Leonard. This is a 2-in-1 book. It is about these two prisoners who are stuck in the most rough prison in Arizona, and they have to work together to escape. It's pretty funny. It kind of aged poorly in a lot of aspects. I was expecting a fun, entertaining Western, and that's exactly what this was. Not much more, not much less. Not a whole lot of things to think about for me. Like, it didn't leave me like with crazy, thoughtful insights at the end. It was just like, yeah, that was fun. That did what it was supposed to, and it did it well. That's all I gotta say about this one, really. The next book is The Nickel Boys by Colson Whitehead. I listened to this one on Spotify and then the rest on like an ebook thing, and that book was good. At first half I wasn't really sure, wasn't really on board with it, but by the end, when I read the ending, it came out of left field first off, and it blew my mind, and it was so sad. That book was really well written, really, really good. It is about this kid Elwood who gets falsely put in this reform school. It's completely racist, it's completely corrupted, and it's more like a freaking Nazi prison camp. It's terrible. Students, if they disobey, are killed. It is freaking messed up. It's a really dark book, but it's also about a friendship with Elwood and his friend Turner. And it's a battle of beliefs on the world. It's about hope. It's about oppression, racism, class inequality. So much packed into this book. So much this book has to say. I thought it was a great book. Getting closer now, we are in May. The first book I read in May was The Revenant by Michael Punk. That's a cool name. A fictionalized version of a true story. The true story is Hugh Glass was a frontier in the early 1800s, and he was mauled and attacked by a bear, left for dead by the fur company he was traveling with. This is about Hugh Glass's story of revenge. It's a fictionalized version. Again, Hugh Glass was a real guy. He did get mauled by a bear. He did get abandoned and then tried to seek out revenge. A really interesting story. I thought this was like, I don't usually rate books, but this was like a solid like 3.5 stars. Like, it was a good, entertaining read. It wasn't like mind-blowing. Like, it was exactly what I thought it would be, and I gotta appreciate that. Like, it wasn't exactly a whole lot more. It was a little more than I thought it would be, but it wasn't anything less, and that is respectable. This is a respectable book. I thought it was good. I love Westerns, and the survival aspect of this is pretty decently gritty, so yeah, it's a good book. More John Steinbeck. This is The Pearl, another little short bad boy. A lot of people, this gets way more attention than The Moon is Down. It is a fable, basically, about this guy and his wife. I kind of forgot their names. They find this pearl that is worth a lot of money, and it's about the greed of the small town they live in that ends up corrupting their entire lives. And it gets pretty nutty by the end. It gets pretty crazy. I thought this one was good. It was kind of Old Man and the Sea style, which I'm not that much of a fan of. I still thought it was good. I thought it was so much better than Old Man and the Sea. Don't kill me on that one. But I thought this one was good. I'm not gonna lie, I think The Moon is Down is a lot better. I'm just not a big fable guy, but you know, for what it was, I thought it was very good. Definitely has a lot to say on wealth and money and the corruptive, erosive aspects that money can have. Alright, this one we read for school. It was like an optional thing that I love reading books, as you can probably tell, so I read it anyway. This is Tuesdays with Morrie. It is a memoir by Mitch Albom, I think. It is about Mitch and his professor Morrie, who had been diagnosed with ALS, which basically, really overly simplified terms, means your nerves eventually stop working until you literally cannot move. It's really sad. This book was basically about Morrie's aspect of view on life, his perspective on life, and it's really wholesome, really heartfelt. Morrie's a goat, dude. He has such a like, happy, optimistic way on life, even though he was suffering through this terrible situation. And he has such a positive look. It really covers death and how to cope with death and what is most important with life. I thought it was great. In my last video, I talked more about it, and I related to death and the meaning of life, if that interests you at all. Okay, next up, dude. This is probably my favorite, or one of my favorite books. I have like 3 revolving favorite books that I can't decide, and that's Fahrenheit 451, Lonesome Dove, and One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest by Ken Kesey. This book is not talked about enough on freaking BookTube, bro. No, I don't see people talking about this book, and it needs to be talked about because it's really good. It is really freaking good. As you can see, I have it marked up a ton. This book is about Randall McMurphy, a debatably sane guy. When you read the book, you might come to your own conclusion on that. Who fakes insanity to get on to this psych ward to escape prison time. And this, it sounds like kind of a boring book, but it's almost written as if it's a sci-fi book, which sounds crazy, but the prose is some of the craziest shit I've ever read in my life. It is so good. And the thing is, the people in this book are not good people. The ideas presented in this book, I don't really agree with. But that's what makes it interesting to me. There's so many layers to peel back on this book, and I reread it. This is a reread. I read this book in November last year. We got to choose any book we want and write this big-ass essay for school. So I chose this one. I reread it. That's why it's all marked up here. And oh my goodness, man. The reread just made me love it even more. Holy crap. This book is insane. There's so much in this book. I don't agree with the really blatant messaging kind of in this book, because I think a lot of it is pretty harmful. But man, it's such an interesting read. Such a great book. I think it's a masterpiece. So well written, so entertaining, really funny at points, really sad at points, really makes you like, ugh, at some points. Oh man, such a wide range of emotions in this. It feels really heartfelt. This is in a mental hospital, and it's from the first-person perspective of one of the patients, Bromden, and he had schizophrenia, which makes the prose really freaking interesting. Adds a whole different layer to the book. In my opinion, this is first-person done at its best ever. Oh my gosh. I could talk about this book forever. Go check it out, man. It is so freaking good. I love this book. I freaking love One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. I can talk about it for way too long. Okay, next up, this is the first John Green book I've ever read, and that's The Fault in Our Stars. This is about Hazel and Augustus. Hazel has cancer currently in the beginning of the book, and Augustus has recovered from it. And it is about their love story. Every child in this book has cancer. This book was devastating, bro. Like, ugh. I finished this, and I was literally so sad, bro. It felt like, I don't want to spoil anything, but it was really freaking tragic. So optimistic somehow. John Green looked for the positives in everything. This is a book about death, the struggle and search for the meaning of life, family, the importance of love. So many things packed into this book. Holy crap. I love John Green's videos, but man, this was so much better than I thought it was going to be. And I need to check out more John Green books because I absolutely love The Fault in Our Stars. This book was magnificent. I loved it. I was afraid I wouldn't like that it was young adult, but man, it's just so heartfelt and passionate, and you just can't help but smile at all these good people in this book and feel so bad for them, for the situations that they're in with their cancer. Man, if this sounds interesting, it's a must read, period. Next up, dude, this one is talked about a lot, and I mean a lot, and this is Stoner by John Williams. I have an entire video about this book, so I won't yak for you too long. But in a nutshell, Stoner is about a man, William Stoner, and how he falls in love with literature and becomes a professor and leaves behind his old farming life into this new life of books and literature. And Stoner has a mundane-ass life, bro. It is not that crazy. The stuff going on here is not that nutty. It is just Stoner from birth to death, and you know it from the start. And man, it is really good. It is really good, which is shocking, because this book should be boring, but it's not, because it's written by John Williams, and he can make it interesting somehow. I don't understand, but he did it. The prose in this book is like, so good. There's some lines in there that articulate these common human emotions with just precision. Bullet point, black and white precision. So many emotions in this book, and really beautiful picture by the end. The biggest thing that stuck out to me was how you don't need to have an insane achievement-based life to have a meaningful life. And I talked about that more in my last video, the one I was talking about with Tuesdays with Maury. I talked more about Fault in Our Stars in that one too, if you want to check it out. Stoner was really great. Not for everyone. Definitely see how it's not for everyone. but I really enjoyed it. Left me with a lot of emotions by the end. I was pretty bro, this stack is struggling to stay up. We got one more book, okay? We have one more book, and this is the first book and only book I've read in June so far. And I'll tell you why I've only read this book, okay? This is, holy nutsack, this is A Gentleman in Moscow by Amor Towles. My brother read this for school, but he was like, dude, you gotta read Gentleman in Moscow. This book is great. This is a bit of a long one, for me at least. I read shorter books. This book was 450 pages. I enjoyed it. I have a caveat, because I didn't realize this book was going to be really a comfy read. Kind of a, like, feel-good book, comfy book at its finest. This is about historical fiction. This takes place in, it goes from like 1910s to 1960s, and it is, you get to see the progression of Russia and the rise of communism and the world wars, all that type of stuff. But it's also just about this man, a gentleman in Moscow, Count Rostov, and he's sentenced to stay in this hotel for the rest of his life. It's pretty fun. It's a very much like a feel-good book. Like, you just can't help but smile at a lot of the things. I didn't realize that a lot of it would just be kind of really small episodic adventures, little slices of life. That's most of this book. And so I ended up not liking it as much as I probably could have if I knew that going in. If you want a long read you can get comfy in, it's not very plot heavy, there's not much of a plot really, then I think this is a solid one, really feel good all around. You'll finish it with a big grin. It wasn't precisely my thing. I ended up thinking it was a little too long by the end. It just, to me, started to feel like it was dragging a little bit. I didn't like it as much as I thought I would, so I was a little disappointed initially. But, yeah, I think it's solid. I do still think it is a little bit too long, which is not always the best. But yeah, Gentleman in Moscow. Okay. Look at that stack. So that is every book I have read this year so far. 2025 has been it has been a productive reading. I'm gonna be real. I know some people are like, I'm on book freaking 50. I'm pretty happy with the selection I've read. I've read some really great books this year. I definitely urge you to check some of those out. Loan from Dove, Fault in Our Stars, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, so many good ones. Oh my gosh, I'm really excited to keep reading more books. I have some great books on my shelf that I intend to keep reading. And I'm posting here weekly, at least for the summer. So if you like this video, subscribe if that's your thing. I'm reading The Stand right now, and I'm gonna make a video on that when I'm done. But it's a long boy. I'm like 300 pages in. It's taking me a bit. So yeah, have a great day, have a great life, and yeah, I'll see you next week, hopefully. Okay.